Well, good morning. This is Herbert Harris, and I want to thank our team for some great insight this morning, some great victories, and some great lessons. And what we've learned is that if you're patient and persistent, success cannot fail to come. Our topic for today is we called it the secret of success. And there there's so many books written and people that claim to have the secret to success. And it really led me to think a little bit about it. And one thing is, I'm reminded of a story that and we used to tell in motivation classes, inspiration classes, and it talks about the power to get things done, the power to make things happen. And the story says this, that in ancient times, in a faraway country, that the gods who dwell on Mount Olympus, the gods, those who created the world, the gods were creating man, and they wanted to give man the power to make things happen, which is really a godly power. And one god said, this power to make things happen, we better hide it. We better hide it in the bottom of the deepest ocean, because, if man finds it and he's not ready for it, he will abuse it. Another god said, no, man is pretty crafty. Man will find a way to go down and get that power, and he will abuse it. Another god said, well, why don't we put this power on the top of the highest mountain on the planet, the highest mountain in the universe. Let's put this power there, and that way man will never be able to find it, and he won't be able to abuse it. No. An older, wiser God said, you know what? Let us put this power to make things happen deep inside his soul, deep inside his spirit, deep inside the very fiber of his being. Therefore, when he finds it, he will not abuse it. And so the question arises, what is this power? What is this secret of success? And the secret of success, the power, is this: that you are where you are because of your thinking. Earl Nightingale said it very powerfully. He said, you become what you think about most of the time. Biblically it says, whatsoever a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And that really points out the duality of thought, that there's a rational part to the thought and there's an emotional part to the thought. We often meet people who talk success but live failure. In other words, there are people who, as we say, they talk a good game, but when it's time to shoot, they can't get the ball in the hoop. Right? Some of us, we used to say, they talk on the path, but they walk in the grass. So what is this key? What is this thing that we're talking about? Well, the key to success, one of the secrets, of the foundational secrets of success, is that your attitude determines your altitude. You will only be as successful as your attitude permits you to be. When we think of attitude, I want you to have a picture. If a man shall have whatsoever he thinks in his heart, there's that duality of the rational part of the thought and the emotional part of the thought. And when you put that together, that becomes your attitude. So the world is like a great big circle, if you think about it. There's the left side of that circle, which is 180 degrees of negativity, negative attitudes, negative can't do type attitudes, limitation attitudes, fear attitudes, insecurity attitudes, doubt attitudes. And on the right, we have the 180 degrees of positivity, faith attitudes, confidence attitudes, courage attitudes. And so what happens to us in life really is determined by our attitude. let's look at that a little further. Have you noticed that there are some people that seem to be successful no matter what happens? I mean, they can get knocked down. They can get, just everything literally taken away from them. And you come back in 3 months, 6 months, or a year, and they're right back on top. And so your attitude, what's the difference? What makes them come back? Well, what makes them come back is their attitude. You cannot, no, I don't want to say that. The external world brings things to your life experience which may not be of your choosing, but the internal world, as manifested through your attitude, you have complete power over how to respond to it. And so your attitude toward life will determine, it's really a manifestation of the cause and effect. Everything has a cause and effect. And so what is the cause? Well, if you think about it, back to our initial story, the power to make things happen, that power that is within us, it really operates through our attitude. And so Henry Ford once said, if you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you are right. In other words, whatever your belief system always manifests in your life. I say the best way to determine your future is to create it. How do we create our future? We create our future through our attitudes. Now, let's look at attitude. Attitude, a positive attitude, is based on, confidence and belief in yourself. Belief that the world will manifest exactly the way you want it to manifest. And so in our business, if we have a positive attitude, an attitude of success, if we have an attitude whereby we say, you know what, this person is waiting to join me in our business. One of my affirmations is this, that everybody I meet is anxious to join me in my business. Everybody I encounter is anxious to join me in my business. I radiate a sense of positivity, and people want to join you in a positive environment. Have you noticed that when people come into our space and in this industry, in the entire network marketing industry, for example, why do people come in? Many times, only 5% of the people ever really make any serious money, but why are there millions of people around in our industry who seem to hang in and be there even though they're not making any money? And it's because they feel a sense of success. They feel a sense of happiness. They feel a sense of belonging. And so that sense comes through the attitude. People come to our meetings. We often say, if you have a guest, the meeting needs you. But if you don't have a guest, you need the meeting. And so when people come into our meetings, they feel a warm, positive attitude, and they're attracted to that. So as you begin to create the success that you're seeking in life, the first key is to develop a positive attitude, is to always operate on the 180 degree of positivity, knowing that whatever you believe is true. And so when you speak to a prospect, if you speak to a prospect with that feeling that they are probably not going to be interested, then guess what? They won't be interested. If you speak to a prospect saying, man, this is just too much money to invest in this business, guess what? That prospect will say, this is too much money to invest in this business. And so if we want to create success in our lives, we must be totally controlling of our attitude. How do we express that attitude? It's not so much what you say, it's more of what you are. And so you express your attitude by the way you walk. One of the things that really distresses me about some of our young people is many of them walk with such a nonchalant, I'm not going anywhere type walk. And that manifests, that creates an image in us of how we're going to respond to them and what we think about them. Now, it may or may not be true, but if they're walking a certain way, if they're dressed a certain way, then this is what is created in our minds. So your attitude is manifested, one, in how you walk, how you look, how you dress, how you hold your head, how you speak. In other words, success is a total package. You know, some people say, well, in our industry, very often folks say, well, I can never come to the front of the room and speak like you can or like others can. That's not true, okay? Because when people speak, they communicate. And what do people communicate? They communicate sincerity and authenticity. And so some of the most effective speakers are not those who can bring the crowds to their feet, not those who can, just inspire people to jump up and down, but the most authentic speakers are often those who can share their authenticity, who can share their feelings, who can tell a story of what happened to them or what they saw or what they feel in such a way that it creates a commonality with all in the room. And so attitude is a way to demonstrate your authenticity. You may think about it, we used to, in success, you may say success practice, we used to say fake it till you make it. Some people thought that was kind of corny, but your attitude feeds, just as when you sponsor a new person in the business and they get excited, it builds your excitement. Okay? So it goes back and forth. So similarly, when you project an attitude of success, okay, people feel it and they respond accordingly. So if we control our thinking, we can control our emotions, we can control our attitude, and then we can control our lives. As we begin to build our business, as we begin to build our lives, how do you know if your attitude is working for you? How do you know if you're operating on the 180-degree positivity or the 180-degree of negativity? As they say, you know a tree by its fruits. Happiness. What is happiness? Everybody knows happiness when they feel it. Happiness is a barometer, is a measure of how we feel about ourselves and about the world. We know when we're happy. We can feel it. Sometimes people create happiness by external means. Relationships, I'm happy if I have a person in my life, okay? And that works fine until the person is no longer there. So when your attitude is determined by external circumstances, then that's a sign that you need to work on your core beliefs and your attitude. How do you know that your attitude is negative? When you experience failure after failure after failure, disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. But when you experience these, we'll call them failures, let's just call them, when you experience these learning, when you have these learning experiences, they can be positive if they cause you to become introspective and say, what am I doing? Why am I creating this reality for myself? Why are people not joining me in my business? Why is my business not taking off the way that I want it to? On your job, why am I not getting the promotion? Why am I not experiencing the joy, the happiness that I'm seeking? Okay. Well, one way to never find the source is to make excuses. You cannot make excuses and progress at the same time. You cannot make excuses and have success at the same time. And so one of the keys towards really developing an attitude of success is to look at your track record and see how's it going. Okay? If you are existing with a series of, you might say, disappointments, failures, and more learning experiences than victories, then don't make excuses for these things. Don't Don't blame it on outside activities. Don't blame it on people. Don't blame it on the area. Don't blame it on the price. Don't blame it on the company. But whenever things are not going the way that you want them to go, look inside. What is it about my attitude? What is it about my core beliefs that's attracting failure, disappointment, and unhappiness into my space? It is only then that you look into your core beliefs, because the external world has absolutely no effect on you. Okay? You choose the way that the external world affects you. So if you let disappointments create an attitude of failure, you have created a reality for yourself that leads to unhappiness. And so once we begin to look inside that attitude, I look at my track record and I see a string of discontent. I am not happy. Thank goodness for the happiness, the barometer of how we feel about ourselves. I look inside and I realize that I may have a feeling of insecurity. And I may have a feeling that I need to be confirmed by someone or something. Some people have to dress and have to own possessions to feel good about themselves inside. But once again, that's externally. Once those possessions are gone, then they're unhappy. So we must begin to construct our attitude based on our self-worth. When we interact with people, there's a saying, I meet no one but me. When we interact with people, okay, we want to project a positive, confident attitude so that they'll join us in our business or in whatever we're attempting. You cannot project that which you are not. Okay? When we say fake it till you make it, there's a part of that that's for real. But when you do that, there will come a reckoning time where the reality, your authenticity, will either be validated or undermined. So if things are not going the way we want, then look inside, and what is it inside us that's creating an attitude that attracts failure? Okay? And that's where we begin to work. How we feel about ourselves is reflected in the world that we experience. And so we start work. It's always an inside job. How do we build a positive attitude? If the world is not manifesting, if the business is not manifesting the way we want it to, how do we create that positive attitude? Well, we create it by the second law of success. Be not conformed to this world. Don't stay stuck in the results of negative thinking and a negative attitude, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind, by thinking a new thought about yourself. How do you reprogram your mind? You reprogram your mind the same way that your mind has become programmed to the emotional state and attitude that exists currently. You reprogram your mind by telling yourself different truths. If you've been in an environment where people are telling you you can't, then you start affirming, I can. You start creating positive affirmations. Once again, one of the laws of success that you will have, a man shall have whatsoever he saith. So you start to reprogram your attitude by affirmations. And affirmations that you consistently apply. Just as people, as a child, the first words you learn are no, stop, and don't, and then followed by shut up. And if that's all you hear, no, stop, don't, shut up, no, stop, don't, you create an aura and an attitude of failure and discouragement. So reprogram your mind by telling yourself the things that you need to hear to become the person that you want to become. I am a success. Okay, I believe in myself. I deserve success. I have a winning attitude. People are waiting to join me in my business. Today, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Good things come to me today. When we start to reprogram our minds, we change our attitudes. The proof is always in the pudding. As you begin to reprogram your mind, people will get it, and they will respond to you accordingly. They'll say, boy, you look different today. You act different today. You're walking different today. What is it? And that what it is that you have reprogrammed your attitude so that you become the person that you need to become to attract into your life the experiences that we call success. And so I close with this. Your attitude reflects your altitude. Your life evolves based on the choices you make, and always choose success. Success is mine. Success comes to me every day in every way. Good things come to me today. I believe in myself. I can do it. These are the positive statements that can reprogram your life so that you can become the person you want to become, so that you can do the things you want to do, so that you can have the things you want to have. I believe in me. I believe in me. You use that power affirmation and you will create all that you're seeking. You will become all that you wish to become. And the best is yet to come.